Hello and welcome to Books with Becca. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 graphic novels. The first is called Miss Annie Freedom, and it's the first book in a series. It's written by Frank Gall and illustrated by Flor Balthazar. Even though this is definitely a book that would appeal to kids the most, I personally think that it could also appeal to anybody who has cats. So the story is about a kitten, almost 5 months old, named Miss Annie, who is very adorable. She, more than anything, wants to go outside into the big wide world, but her humans don't think she's quite ready yet. So of course, one day the daughter of the of her family leaves the window open, and Miss Annie goes outside and she meets 2 other cats that teach her about the world and how to be safe in it. What I liked about this was it definitely included some good vocabulary words, which I think is something that is good to include when in moderation, of course, because I think that kids are very curious and like to learn new words. So I thought that it was done really well. What I also liked about this was Miss Annie strikes up a friendship with a mouse, and that definitely becomes kind of a plot point later on when Miss Annie meets her first 2 outdoor cats, and they're like, "You're friends with a mouse? What? You're a cat. What is this?" But I think it shows that anybody can be friends, which is a good message, even if, of course, it's a fantasy animal book. And I really enjoyed this, and I liked seeing Annie's day-to-day life and all the shenanigans she gets into. And I would definitely recommend this for really any reader. It's cute. And the words aren't too hard. Definitely really fun and cute and well illustrated. I like the use of the color palette and everything. So yeah, that's Miss Annie Freedom. The next book is called Squish, Super Amoeba, by the brother and sister who wrote Baby Mouse, Jennifer L. Holm and Matthew Holm. I loved Squish. I think that it is a great way to introduce kids to science, and I think that it definitely does a good job of imbuing these scientific organisms with a sense of personality. So what Squish is an amoeba who goes to school, lives his life and everything. And he has his best friend is, gotta find it. Gotta find the page. His best friend is Pod, who is a super genius. And he also has another friend named Peggy, who is a paramecium. And throughout the book, they bring up things such as mitochondria and just different and pseudopods. Like his best friend Pod is like, "I gotta wash my pseudopods." And when they get into detention because they're late, there's mean algae and a parasitic amoeba and E. coli and bacteria. So I definitely think that it's a fun read, but it's also kind of an educational read because it's bringing all these organisms to life for children, and I think it definitely does a good job, including lots of words and phrases that will encourage children to ask questions and look things up and explore more. All right, but now let's talk about the plot of it. So the plot is basically Squish and his friends get in trouble for being late for class, and so they get detention. In detention, they encounter a mean bully. Let me find the bullies. The bully is, gotta find the page I was at. His name is Linwood, and he has a bad habit of eating paramecia, which unfortunately Peggy is one. And so eventually the bully forces Squish to let him cheat off of him in biology, which I think it's so funny that amoebas are taking a biology class. And because the bully tells Squish that if he doesn't let him cheat off of him, he'll eat his friend Peggy. And so Squish has to figure out what's the right thing to do is. And I think it definitely has a positive message about being brave, sticking up for your friends, and doing what's right. So I definitely suggest Squish for fans of Baby Mouse. And then if you have some older readers who like Squish, there's this great manga for teens in our YA section called Cells at Work, which would definitely be a good older read for fans of Squish. All right. Our last one is the Boxcar Children, the graphic novel version. The Boxcar Children is about 4 siblings who are orphans: Jesse, Henry, Violet, Benny, and their dog Watch. They're supposed to be with their grandfather, but they don't want to move in with him or meet him because they're worried that they like them, which is random. And so they decide to live life on their own and make this boxcar their home. And the oldest sibling, Henry, goes out every day into the nearest town and does odd jobs for the doctor who lives there, and then brings back food and money. And in the end, they meet their grandfather and he likes them, and they all live happily ever after. I think that the Boxcar Children, it's definitely illustrated beautifully. It's really pretty, but I think it's really lacking a sense of conflict. It's definitely, you can tell it was written for simpler times, and I just personally didn't find it that interesting. But it also, at the same time, it didn't have anything questionable or scary in it. So I think if you're looking for a graphic novel that's really plain and vanilla and doesn't have anything that's scary or offensive or horrible in it, this might be a good read. And also, maybe it would encourage children to read the chapter book version of it. So that is Books with Becca, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.